So as we all like to say, the league table doesn't lie. What I thought we'd do for today's video though is take a bit of a look into some of the underlying numbers so far this season and see what we can learn from that. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Excited to get into this one. Now, I like to do this sort of video at the end of every season when we pick out sort of like an individual stat for each championship club with what either they've been good at or bad at. But 4 games on into this season, I thought we'd take a look at some of the metrics in terms of the underlying numbers so far this season. Look at the sides who are struggling in some regards and look at the sides who are doing well and why that's the case. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. If we get it 400, that would be massively appreciated. And if you'd like to see some more sort of stats orientated videos like this, then do let me know. As always, make sure to stick around and subscribe for some regular championship content. Check out the Patreon link, that is down below as well. But without any further ado, let's jump into this one. So we'll start out with one of the more basic metrics for the season, and that's possession. So who's liked to keep hold of the ball so far this season? As we can see here, it is Swansea who so far this season have averaged the most possession per 90 with 62.9% on average so far this season. Obviously, Russell Martin's come in. It's a massive contrast from Cooper Ball in seasons gone by. Swansea have had a little bit of an adaptation period so far to that. You know, results have been a little bit mixed, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing them at Deepdale this weekend on Saturday. It'll be an interesting one to see Swansea in the flesh. On the flip side of that, the teams who like to be without the ball, Birmingham so far this season come in at the bottom of this metric with just 38.8% of possession per 90. To be expected really, the Irish side who does a lot of their work without the ball. Blackburn down there as well, they are more of a sort of counter-attacking side now under Tony Mowbray, aren't they? But I wouldn't say there were all too many shocks in here. You know, the teams at the top will be ones you'd expect. You know, Fulham in there, Sheffield United with Jokanovic, you know, trying to get across this new style of play. So with that one, it's probably what you come to expect. The next metric I thought we'd then look into is how many shots is a team taking per 90. Now this one for me is fairly important because ultimately if you're not creating a lot of chances, you're not having a lot of shots at goal, you're not going to score a lot of goals, and ultimately you're probably not going to get a lot of points. Bristol City were really bad for this last season, but as we can see by this metric so far, they've actually improved quite steadily. They're sat 12th in this at the moment. Now, as we can see, possession doesn't always equate to lots of chances being created, as Swansea are coming in at the bottom of the pile for the fewest amounts of shots that any championship side takes per match. Only 8 shots per game Swansea have taken so far this season. Obviously, it's been quite a gradual process. You know, it can be quite a slow build up from Swansea, a lot of possession sort of in their half, building up the play and things like that. What they need is a little bit more in the final third, and I think that this metric right here probably tells us that. Obviously, they scored 4 goals in midweek in the cup. They need to sort of start translating that into the league now. Peterborough are a little bit lower on this metric than I would have first thought. You know, they came up to the championship this season with the perception of being this sort of like team that would bomb forward, create a lot of chances, but also concede a lot of goals. But only 8.5 shots per game, which is the lowest out of all the newly promoted clubs this season, which was a little bit of a surprise. Forest being down there, no surprise whatsoever. Creatively, they've been really quite poor so far this season. They've been quite reliant on individual moments of quality to create chances, more so than like a system which is going to continually put chances on the plate for a striker. Bournemouth being down there, maybe a little bit of a surprise. We also then have the likes of Blackpool and Huddersfield. Coming in at the top though, Coventry are up there with 17 shots per game, which is really quite promising. Obviously, they've only scored 5 goals so far this season, but it shows they're getting into those areas. You know, this perhaps shows they've been a little bit wasteful maybe, you know, particularly in that Barnsley game that we think back to where they had a ton of chances going forward but they couldn't quite get anything over the line. But that's a really promising underlying stat there for Coventry, because if they can become a little bit more clinical, they may go ahead and surprise a few this season. A lot of the other teams up there probably won't come as all too many surprises. You know, West Brom up there, they absolutely blew Blackburn away with the amount of chances they had in that last game, so 17 shots per game is no surprise to them. Then the likes of Fulham, Cardiff, Stoke, Birmingham up there, which goes to show possession, you know, it doesn't equate to chances created here. You know, Birmingham do quite well off the ball, only having 38% possession on average, but they still get over 11 shots away per game. Hull fans will be pulling their hair out with frustration at this point in time because they have been caught offside the most amount of times in the championship so far this season. 17 times already in just 4 matches they've been caught offside. The main contributing factor to this stat is Josh McGuinness, who he himself has been caught offside 10 times already this season. season. That means that by himself, he's been caught offside more times than 17 other championship clubs so far this season, which is a ridiculous stat. Just learn the offside rule. The ultimate striker partnership would be between Josh McGuinness and Timo Werner. You just never score a goal because they both constantly be living offside. Coming in with the most completed tackles so far this season, that goes to Millwall with 78 completed tackles this far into the season, so they do like to get quite stuck in. Also around the top we got the likes of Luton, Coventry, Middlesbrough and Reading up there. Towards the bottom, these sides maybe play a little bit more passive off the ball and don't get as stuck in as some of those other sides in and around the top of the championship. Either that or they like to hold on the ball and have a lot of possession. So the sides coming in at the bottom: Derby, Swansea, Blackpool, Sheffield United and Cardiff, which is quite an interesting one. And as you guys know on the channel as well, I always like to take a bit of a look into goalkeeper stats to see how they are getting on for the season and stuff like that. Save percentage is generally the thing that I like to go off as a bit of an indicator as to how well or how not well that goalkeeper at the moment is doing. And with the best save percentage in the championship at the moment, coming in with 85.7%, is Huddersfield Town's Lee Nichols. Now, what a difference he has made in net for Huddersfield so far. You know, Town were fresh off the back of conceding 5 goals to Fulham in quite sloppy circumstances, really, obviously. Ryan Schofield, who's further down at the bottom of the list here, was given a bit of a break from the side, and Lee Nichols has come in and they've won both the matches that he started in and have been keeping things much tighter at the back. Sarkic from Birmingham here also really strongly coming up in this list for quite a young goalkeeper with 81.8%. Bender from Swansea coming in with 81%, also fairly strong. There's maybe been a couple of question marks with Bender over sort of his distribution and stuff like that, but in terms of a pure shot stopper, he's actually been really good this season, because if we actually look at shots on target again so far this season, he's right up there. You know, he's faced the 3rd most amount of shots so far this season in the championship, so for him to have that save percentage is really quite impressive. Kelly Roos is up there for Derby. He's having a bit of a resurgence to his Derby career so far. Simon Moore's been really strong for Coventry. Travers finds himself up there. Thomas Kaminski, also another goalkeeper who's faced quite a few shots so far this season. In that West Brom game particularly, I know he conceded 2 in the end, but he really was kept on his toes throughout the afternoon for that one. If we then look towards the bottom of the list though, it's Daniel Iverson who currently comes in and way at the bottom of this list, by the way, with a save percentage of just 22.2% so far this season. That is such a far cry from how good he was last season. I think he was 4th in the end for the best championship save rate, and I mean pretty much every shot that's gone against us so far this season has gone in. That's been a real leading contributing factor to our poor start to the season. He did make up for things in that game against Peterborough. He made one fantastic save to deny Clark Harris in the dying embers of that match, but yeah, not the best in the end. And a few surprises are down here, to be honest with you. Bartosz Spilkowski, only save percentage of 50% this season. Sam Johnson, 57%. You know, on paper you'd probably say he's the best goalkeeper in the league, but so far this season he's not exactly had the best start to the year. Schofield, who definitely has struggled, and then we have the likes of Sluga, Bentley and Pym all down there. Gazniga as well, down in 18th at the moment. So yeah, I always like to look into those goalkeeper stats throughout the season to sort of stay on top of who's doing well at the moment. Key passes is also an interesting metric to look into every now and again to sort of see who's the most creative player in the championship, and way out in front at the moment with 17 key passes to his name is Huddersfield Town's Sorba Thomas, obviously bombing up and down that left hand side. Really quite promising numbers there from him early on. Very interested to see how many goals and assists he ends up with come the end of this season. Ryan Giles to be expected right up there. His deliveries into the box so far this season for Kiefer Moore, Aidan Flint and Sean Morrison have been absolutely pinpoint, one of the best crosses of the ball in the championship so far this season. Swift we always expect to be up there when he's match fit. He's been great for Reading this season. Same with Callum O'Hare as well. I think that he was up there last season for key passes. Jeremy Bella, one of the silkiest players in the league. Scott Malone up there, which is interesting. Fabio Carvalho, he's really having a breakthrough year with Fulham this time around. Each of West Brom's fullbacks are both in this list, which is interesting. It tells us that a lot of chances are being created by those 2 fullbacks. Be interested to know how many of those key passes from Furlong turn out to be from long throw-ins come the end of the season, because that's going to be a real danger that a few sides have struggled to deal with so far this season. And then Ben Sheaf is up there as well with 8 key passes so far this season. Maybe not something you particularly associate Sheaf for, you know, you maybe think about him doing the defensive duties and stuff like that, but impressive there nonetheless. And then we got a few more players here on the sort of 8s and 7s and things like that. Chair, he'll be right up there come the end of the season. Gustavo Heimer, Mario Varancic as well. Stoke I'm very interested to look into in a little bit more detail in a future video. I'm quite excited about them now this season. In terms of the best dribblers in the Championship so far this season, Zinkernagel is right up there with 12 successful dribbles so far this season. Forest may not be having the best of times as they're currently rooted to the bottom of the Championship, but at least they have someone like Zinkernagel who's got a bit of something about him in the final third. Just get the ball to him and he will create goals. Same for Sheffield United and Sander Berge at the moment as well. He's also up there leading the way with 12 dribbles. Chris Willock with QPR, Joe Rothwell with Blackburn, that's to be expected. He scored some worldy goals last season when he was dribbling through people's defences. Josh Bowler from Blackpool is up there. It's quite interesting with 10 dribbles. And we've got the likes of Nguisa, Andy Yadom, Naskins Cabano. Rob Dickey up there with 9 dribbles. A centre-back with 9 dribbles to his name already. I absolutely love that. I mean, he's going to be in competition with Aidan Flint this season, isn't he, for the Golden Boot. He scored another one in the Carabao Cup in midweek. He's absolutely on fire at the moment. And then Victor Gyökeres is also up there with 9 dribbles at the moment. But there we have it, guys. That will wrap it up for today's video. Like I said at the start, I just wanted to have a bit of a deeper dive into some of the underlying stats so far this season for teams and individuals who have stood out and some who obviously are struggling at the moment. Do let me know in the comments down below, what do you think your side is best and worst at? I might start working on that as a potential video idea, and I'll involve some of your guys' comments in that one as well. But yeah, if you did go on to enjoy today's video, guys, make sure to leave a like, do stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.